Hello. For today's topic, we'll talk about professional ethics for professional accountants. This is based on International Ethical Standards Board for Accountants. Okay, so the content of our presentation will be the purpose of the code, overview of the content of the code, fundamental principles of professional ethics, threats to compliance with fundamental principles, application of conceptual frameworks towards threats, independence, and then safeguards against threats to independence. So the IESBA, or International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants, this is the board that issued the Code of Ethics for professional accountants. The purpose of the codes includes set out fundamental principles of ethics for professional accountants, recognizing public interest responsibility. This is the important thing to remember as a professional, that we work for the public interest. Second, provide conceptual framework for identifying, evaluating, and addressing threats to compliance with fundamental principles. So this code provides the framework on how the accountants will be able to identify, evaluate, and address the threats on complying with fundamental principles. So which means it is only the foundation of any other codes related to accountants, especially if the accountants or the accounting firm, they have their own code of ethics. And then third, sets out international independent standards established by the application of conceptual framework to threats to independence related to assurance engagement. So an overview of the content of the code. Part 1, it talks about complying with the code, fundamental principles, and conceptual framework. Part 2, it talks about professional accountants in business whom are employed, engaged, or contracted in executive or non-executive capacity. And then the third part is all about accountants who are in public practice, or we know them as the external auditors. There are 5 fundamental principles of professional ethics sets out in the Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants issued by IESBA. Here are the 5 principles: integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, professional behavior. It should be noted that, as I mentioned in the previous slide, these are fundamental principles coming from the conceptual framework. So which means other professional organizations may have added or enhanced the fundamental principles mentioned here. But all the same, these are, shall we say, minimum standards that any professional accounting organization has to comply with. So the first one is integrity. Integrity means honest and straightforward. Objectivity, it is unbiased, free from conflict of interest. Now these two are complementing each other, because if you talk about integrity, being honest, and objectivity, it says free from conflict of interest. If you are free from conflict of interest, your integrity will enhance. Now if you are being honest, your objectivity will be strengthened. The third one is professional competence and due care. There are two things that we have to be mindful of here. First, obtain and maintain professional knowledge and skills in order to provide the required professional services. So from the moment that you started studying accounting, and then you got your CPA designation, and then of course you have to maintain the professional knowledge, so which means you have to engage in continuing professional development. These are fundamental for your profession. Now the second thing that we have to be mindful of here is becoming diligent in practice and complying with relevant technical and professional standards. So it's not only for an accountant to comply with professional ethics sets out by the profession, but also you have to comply with other professional standards and other technical standards that you as an accountant or as an auditor may be required to have. So for example, if you are a lecturer or accounting teacher, there will be requirements for you to obtain your master's degree, for you to be a permanent staff of the academe. So that is a professional standards which related to academe. Likewise, in other professions, there will be similar requirements that other standards will require you. Okay, the fourth fundamental principles of professional ethics will be confidentiality. It says non-disclosure of confidential information obtained from professional and business relationships, unless you are required by court or allowed by client. So, as a professional accountant, we don't have the same privilege as attorney-client relationship. Because in attorney-client relationship, there are confidential information obtained by the lawyer from the client which are not allowed to be disclosed. But for accountants, if we are required by the law or have been provided with consent by the client, we are allowed to disclose confidential information. And also, we are prohibited to use the information for our benefit. So if we obtain information from our client and it may provide us with benefits, so we are not allowed to do that. Then the last one in fundamental principle is professional behavior. Complying with applicable laws and regulations, avoid acts which will disrepute the profession. So these are 5 fundamental principles of professional ethics. Now, as an accountant or as an auditor especially, you need to have the attributes of independence. Now, there are 5 threats to independence that as an accountant we need to be mindful of. First, self-interest, financial and other interests may influence professional judgment and behavior of the auditor. Self-review is opportunity to review your own work. Advocacy, possibility of promoting clients' interests which may compromise auditor objectivity. Familiarity, the long and close association may result to sympathetic approach towards client. And the 5th one, intimidation. Perceived pressures or possible deterrence of professional accountants' objectivity. So these are 5 threats to independence of the auditor. So as much as possible, we try to avoid or eliminate these threats in our judgment as an auditor. Now, in applying conceptual framework, especially in identifying, evaluating, and addressing threats, okay, as an accountant or as an auditor, we have to be mindful of this so that we will be able to protect our integrity, our objectivity, and maintain our competence, doing our work with diligence and due care, and maintaining professional behavior and keeping information with confidentiality. So these are steps. First, identify threats to compliance with fundamental principles. Second, evaluate the threats identified. And third, address the threats by eliminating or reducing them to an acceptable level. So, for example, if you have a prospective client, but at the same time, one of your teammates, okay, in the engagement team or the engagement team that you are forming owns significant interest to your prospective client. So what we will advise is either our teammates in the engagement team remove or sell his or her share, or we will not include our supposedly teammates on that engagement team, and we will transfer him or her to another team so that it will not affect our judgment. So we already identified the threats. We evaluate the threats. Of course, the threats there will be self-interest, as he or she has owning shares, significant shares on prospective client. And then we have to address how to eliminate that or reduce them to acceptable level. So either you remove the person from the team or advise the team member to sell their shares. Okay, so this is for my example. So this is how you will apply conceptual framework, especially in identifying, evaluating, and addressing threats. Very important attribute of an auditor is an auditor should be independent in their work. So independence here, it means, of course, independent from your client's operation and any influences that might affect your judgment. So independence is linked with objectivity and integrity. Independence also means free from conflict of interest. Independence will have two things: independence of mind and independence in appearance. Independence of mind permits expressing conclusion without influences which can compromise judgment, while independence in appearance, avoiding situations that may signify that the professional accountant's integrity, objectivity, and professional skepticism is compromised. In proving independence of mind, it may not be easy to show, not unless you had finished your work and provided your report. So that is how we will be able to prove the independence of mind of the auditor. But within you, of course, you can always say whether you are independent or not. Independence in appearance is one that you can always show by, of course, not mingling so much with your client. That's why we have that familiarity and advocacy. It actually provides us with a reminder that if we have associated so much with our client, it may influence the familiarity. So when there will be familiarity, it may breach contempt. So two things: independence of mind and independence in appearance. Now, how to safeguard independence against threats? The first one is safeguards created by profession, legislation, or regulation. So when you talk about safeguards created by profession, so the professional accounting or accountants organization should create safeguards to help the accountants and auditors to maintain independence. The nation or the country itself also can create laws and regulations that can help the accountants and auditors to protect their independence. Also, certain government agencies in which companies will be reporting into can also set some guidelines to help the accountants to protect their independence. So if the company is listed in stock market, the stock market can create safeguards to help the auditor to protect their independence. The second one is safeguards within the entity. The company itself or our client can create safeguards to help the auditor to be protected against threats to independence. And the third one, the audit firm itself can create their own system and procedures in which they will be able to protect or maintain independence of their client. And that's it for my presentation. Our references will be Handbook of International Code of Ethics of Professional Accountants, and then ISQC 1, which related to quality control for firms that performs audits and reviews of financial statements and other assurance and related services engagement. Thank you.